Why do you build me up, Buttercup? This is one of those moments, guys. Reports are out there now that impact in quotes, transfer tight end Tanner Kosil is heading to the portal again. Connor Bartholomew, Scott State Journal, has indicated that he's left camp and went back home. Sigh, or if you are French, la sigh. Let me back it up a little bit to properly orient people. And before I do so, if you like, indifferent, or even dislike this podcast, please like and subscribe, because it makes it much easier for you to hear this instead of a 1977 Bulgarian wedding video filmed on Bora Bora. These algorithms that YouTube uses are very tricky. So help me, help you, help me, help you. Anyway, back to Koziol. If those who may not know, this was, if not the crown jewel, certainly one of the crown jewels of the portal class for Coach Fickle. A very talented offensive tight end over at Ball State, all MAC, and had all kinds of offers from all kinds of places. Was this an elite top 10 portal guy? No, but he was certainly a really, really, really good addition, especially in an offense that is going to sort of reintroduce the tight end to the offensive scheme that has been missing since Jake Ferguson. Shout out. So, it's a big pickup. You can't, you didn't build your whole, program around Koziol, but, it's a big pickup, a big part of what you're doing. So, had a really nice start to spring camp, suffered a minor injury that had him out. And then sometime between then and now, you've been noticing other guys getting the majority of the work, and Koziol nowhere to be found. Well, again, quoting the reporting over at the State Journal, he blew out of Madison. He's gone. Headed home. Here is the big caveat that I'm going to say before I'm going to say a bunch of other things that I feel pretty strongly about. There is a possibility there's something going on with this kid, either from a physical or mental health perspective, that I am not privy to, that could change the way I feel about this. I have no reason to believe any of that is happening, but it is a possibility. So keep this button paused a little bit based on some of the things I'm going to say. There are some unknowns here. But based on what we do know, here's what it looks like happened. Talented kid gets an offer to a significantly better school than Ball State. I have reason to believe there's a significant NIL package associated with that deal that brought this kid to Wisconsin. He comes in, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the kind of hard-hitting practices they have, being away further from home, although not much further, how he got along with his teammates, or, this is just a speculation on my part, perhaps there's some bigger money offers in the offing somewhere that have reached out. But whatever the case is, here are the things I believe that I do know. Tanner Kosil got a really good offer at Wisconsin with a significant NIL package, and there's contract signed. That was done. I guarantee you that was done. And that's in the last couple months. All right, or last few months. I believe in December is when he committed. Tanner Kosil has since, if you believe it, reporting, left the team. So you have a kid who came in for whatever reason. We don't know exactly what that is, but again, I have suspicions. Thinks there might be greener pastures out there just a few months later, and the kid's gone. Okay. This is, to me, the worst of NIL portal. The worst of it. And it gives me Xavier Lucas PTSD. Maybe this happens in other schools. I don't know. But, I am as big a fan as of paying players and evening out some of that revenue that schools and conferences end up disproportionately getting vis-a-vis the kids. I love that kids are getting paid, that they're getting compensated much more fairly than they used to for their services as a general matter. I am a fan of that. I've been a fan of that for a long time. But what I do not abide is, and you're seeing it in all kinds of forms, the Tennessee quarterback holding out and then leaving because he didn't get more than he thought he was going to get. You see Xavier Lucas, signing a couple contracts and then hightailing it out to South Florida when there's a little more money on the table. That's what happened, guys. This sort of free agency thing that it's not all on the kids. I mean, most of it is on. We need some actual guidance and regulation in the law for this stuff. It's a wild west. You can't have a wild west. You can't have a Deadwood, and then get all hot and bothered when there's a gunfight in front of the saloon. These things are going to happen. So I want to be clear here. This isn't a he said, she said bad guy situation, but there are elements of NIL and transfer portal now that are just horrific and unsustainable. Okay. Like, let's get it together and have some friggin' rules. Okay. And running alongside this, though, and again, this is not a Tanner Kosil attack show. I go out of my way to err on the side of not trying to turn student athletes into the bad guy. Again, there are things I do not know about this situation. So take this with as much as many grains of salt as you want to. But if this does end up being a situation where there were contracts and NIL deals signed by this gentleman, and sometime in the interim, he has soured a little bit on the numbers or what his role might be or things like that, and then decides he just wants to go somewhere else. I'm sorry, sometimes you got to buck it up, dust yourself off, be a man, and live up to your side of the deal. I mean, I think I can walk both sides of this. I can be happy for players and want them to have a good experience and get a good education and be compensated fairly for the services that they render and have endorsement deals and take care of themselves for their lives. Chucky Hepburn is one of my favorite players. I wasn't bitching and moaning and crying when he left. I was sad as a Badger fan, but I said I was happy for the guy because the guy got a shitload of money that Wisconsin was not going to pay him. I get it. Okay. So, but that was Chucky Hepburn, who had been at Wisconsin giving his blood, sweat, and tears for that program for 3 years, had one more year left to make bank and to give himself some margin and to do the things he needed to do to set his career up. And he took that opportunity, and I was okay with it. Chucky Hepburn wasn't a transfer with a new deal he had just signed, and a few months later wants to go somewhere else. Chucky Hepburn wasn't a rising sophomore defensive back who signed 2 new deals and then a couple weeks later decides he wants to go to Miami. These are different situations. There are grays here that can allow me to be in support of student athletes getting fairly compensated and also thinking sometimes they need to sack up and live up to the end of the bargain. Grow up. Okay? And I already said the majority of the problem here is with the conferences in the NCAA. So don't tell me that I'm putting this all on the students. I'm not. This is a terrible environment, a ridiculous system, and it allows stuff like this to happen. There is no way, under any reasonable paradigm for NIL and transferring, that a player like Tanner Kosil should be allowed to transfer to another school and play next fall after what he just signed with Wisconsin. I'm sorry, that should not be allowed. You need to have some bright lines that force people to live up to their commitments. And if this were a player who transferred to Minnesota in December or early January and then wanted to leave for some other school, I might, have a lighthearted joke on it, but my feelings apply in equal force. It is not good here. It is not good anywhere. So I hope that I am completely wrong about this, that Bartholomew's reporting, not that I wish him any will, he's a very good reporter, but has missed, or that there's a coming to Jesus meeting that happens between Fickle and Koziol that changes the whole trajectory of this. But as I am sitting here right now, as it looks like it is going, this is ridiculous, preposterous, and unsustainable. And I am completely disappointed with the way this has gone. And it makes me think this is a broken system, just a broken system. And I hate to have to talk about this crap, but here we are. Scary Alvarez is out.